The curious case of values. Have you ever noticed how the word value just gets tossed around like we all agreed what it means? What the heck are values anyway, and why do they seem so important in therapy? It's genuinely so hard to pin down in real life that when I ask people to define it, I rarely get similar answers. When you hear the word value, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Whatever just came up, that's probably called a derived relational frame. Somewhere along the way, you learned what value means through family, culture, religion, maybe even a motivational poster in a waiting room somewhere. And now your mind just automatically fills in the blank. In relational frame theory, or RFT, the theory underneath ACT, that's exactly what language is meant to do. It connects words with meanings and emotions to create behavior. And by the way, I'm Dr. Matt Bedell, a licensed professional counselor supervisor and licensed chemical dependency counselor based in Allen, Texas. And this is Belonging Matters, where we explore how acceptance and commitment therapy, aka ACT, provides a framework to experience deep periods of recovery from social anxiety when approached from a shame and trauma-informed lens. In ACT, language is behavior. So if language is behavior, and behavior is what we do to move towards meaning, then values give our behavior a compass by using language to choose actions aligned with what actually matters. Now, what does all that gobbledygook really mean? What this looks like in a nutshell is if you have a compass and that compass points east, no matter how far east you go, you can never be done going east. A simple definition of a value is something to focus behavior that can never be accomplished. They're not something you can cross off a to-do list. Just like a direction on a compass, you can't finish kindness. You can't check off love. You can't say, alrighty, I'm officially completed curiosity. What's next? However, you can take actions towards those things and even intentionally choose actions towards those things. Like, if I value quality family time, maybe that means we go on a vacation. Then when we return, I can still pursue quality family time by having a screen-free dinner. And each one of those moments moves me closer to the experience of my value. Yet I never arrive at a finish line. It's never checked off the list. And that's the point. Values are lived, they're not completed. If anything, values behave like adverbs, shaping how we move throughout the world. They describe the quality of our actions, the intent of our choices. In ACT, we often treat them like verbs, not in the grammar sense, in the behavioral sense. So instead of thinking kindness is a thing that I have, or I am kind, it becomes kindness is a way that I move, or how we choose responses that carry a kind intention. Values are verbs in motion. They're ongoing patterns of intentional action. So when someone says he's being curious or she's acting with kindness, we're describing a value enacted, an intentional direction coming to life through behavior. Values can be chosen or sometimes become pre-programmed, just like how we have a default definition for the word value already. Importantly, though, values can change too. They're not stagnant. There were seasons when I worked out because of the value of looking good, then seasons where I worked out because of the value of athletic competition, and now none of that really matters to me. Now when I work out, I'm focused on practicing mindfulness. I notice my breath, the changes that it makes, the way that my body moves, and how each specific muscle group tenses and then relaxes. Same behavior of working out, completely different value or intention guiding it. That's the beauty of this. Values are not strict rules. There's no right or wrong values either. There's a compass pointing in direction you'll never finish going. And this can give you answers as to what choice to make when you're feeling confused. For clarity, though, there is such a thing as unhelpful behavior, just not unhelpful values. ACT evaluates behavior using workability. Does it move you toward what matters? Does it help you build the life that you want? Does it reduce long-term suffering? For example, if someone values achievement, that value is fine. It's helpful, human, and valid. However, if the behavior is perfectionistic, it's overworking, it's burnt out, it's self-critical, then the behavior is unhelpful, even though the value is completely valid. Again, value doesn't mean just or morally right. It simply means that it's real, it exists. For example, a lot of people hear the word manipulation and instantly jump to judgment. Yet, manipulation is really just a category of behaviors we use to get a need met when we don't see another option. If a teenager lies about their grades, that behavior isn't coming out of nowhere. Functionally, they might be pursuing freedom or avoiding punishment or protecting a relationship. And once we understand the need behind the behavior, we can spot the value hiding just underneath it. So if the value is something we can name, then it's something we can build with. If the value is freedom, we can still honor that while shifting the behavior. So instead of lying, maybe we decide to wear a bracelet. And in that bracelet is the word freedom spelled out with beads, as a physical reminder of what they're actually moving towards. And from that place, the behavior changes. They start completing homework on time, asking for help earlier, communicating with more honesty, all in service of that same value without the unhelpful behavior of lying. Because if we only target lying, we never address the misalignment with the value. And for some, those conversations over time around lying become shaming and restricting. Because unaddressed values often find their way out through behavior, helpful or not. Fortunately, we can choose different values. We can change them. We can play with them because they're just not stagnant. We can change them whenever we get new information. And sometimes the values that matter the most reveal themselves when we stop judging them and start listening to them, especially listening to our pain. If you ever feel stuck, here's something to try, and something I work on with a lot of my clients with social anxiety. We ask ourselves, what's stopping you from doing the thing we're avoiding? And then we flip it. If what's stopping you is the fear of humiliation, maybe what you actually value is acceptance. Then maybe you practice acceptance by doing the thing you're procrastinating, yet with fear along with you for the ride. And critically for this fear, we'd spend some time working on the belief that you can cope with that aftermath, even though it would feel very painful. And if what's stopping you is perfectionism, maybe you value self-compassion, and you practice it before, during, and after, and you allow the behavior to exist imperfectly. See, our pain points are often the shadows of our deepest values. When we choose not to move in the direction of our value, we often experience even greater distress. Not that following values are always pleasant either. Values are also why we do what we do, even when we don't like doing them. For example, if I'm exhausted and tired and I just don't feel like I have the energy to work out, yet mindfulness exercise fuels my recovery, then it's my obligation to bring that fatigue with me and see what I can accomplish with it. Because when I consistently behave in pursuit of recovery, I'm growing my psychological flexibility ability. Oh, that was fun to say. So how valuable are values? When they're clear, they can turn chaos into direction. When people are going through struggles, I often say, after chaos comes clarity. Values help us do hard things, not because we have to, because they matter. And we act from that place with intention towards what matters most is when we start to build a life that feels less like surviving and more like belonging. For people with social anxiety, Values help them decide to do that terrifying thing, to go to the grocery store to prepare a meal for somebody because you value that connection. Whatever it is, this helps us embrace committed action. Now, if you're a therapist and you think this would be helpful for some of your clients, well, I've linked my CEU down below that goes in much greater detail towards all the other ACT pillars as well as social anxiety, using ACT through a shame and trauma-informed lens. I'm really grateful you're here. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.